Good morning, members, and welcome to the Leeds City Region Business Rates Pool Joint Committee. I'm Helen, I'm the clerk for today, and the first item of business is to ask for a nominee and a seconder to chair today's meeting, please.
Councillor Jane Scullion, Calderdale Council. Can I nominate Councillor James Lewis?
Do I have a seconder?
Can I second that, please?
Thank you, members. So Councillor Lewis is elected chair for today's meeting. Thank you, Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to the formal items at the top of the agenda. So the first one is, are there any appeals against the refusal of inspection of documents, please?
There's no appeals.
Are there any late items, please?
No late items of business.
There's no items that are exempt?
No, Chair.
That's great, thanks. And can you just run us through apologies and attendance, please, Helen?
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies from representatives of York City Council for today's meeting, and apologies from, you've got me on the go here, I had a list. I'll take it as York, thank you.
Great, thank you. Going to turn to the committee. Are there any declarations of interest? Don't see anybody. Is everybody happy with the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 28th of March this year? Take it everybody is. So we're on to the main paper on today, item 7. And who's going to speak to this, please? Richard, please.
Thank you, Chair. The Leeds City Region business rate pool was designated by the government from the 1st of April as part of the 50% business rates retention scheme. As members will be aware, the advantage of forming the business rates pool is retention of levy payments within the region that otherwise would be paid over to central government. And again, the report in the part of the introduction just highlights one of the sort of key risks there relating to the sort of current pooling arrangements that we have, that should a member authority fall below 92.5% of assessed spending requirement, then the pool's income, retained levy payments, would be needed to pay to that authority that fell below the 92.5% level, because funding from government would not be forthcoming. Turn with the page to section 2, page 10, just to remind members that the membership of the business rates pool include Bradford, Calderdale, Kirklees, Leeds, Wakefield and York. In terms of the governance arrangements, clearly we've got the joint committee here today, and there's the memorandum of understanding that was signed by all authorities with regard to the arrangement in respect of the operation of the pool, and specifically in terms of the distribution of the retained levy. The first call on that would be to make any sort of safety net payments to individual member authorities. After that, the next call relates to the running costs of the pool, and after those two criteria have been met, then the remaining of the balance will be distributed as per section C on page 11. So 25% would be in proportion to growth above the baseline, 25% in proportion to individual populations of member authorities, 25% to the 4 top-up authorities in proportion to the top-ups they receive from government, and 25% in proportion to the levy payments made to the pool, which recognises the contribution of the 2 levy-paying authorities paying income into the pool. Turning to the estimated level of resources for 24-25, and if you turn to page 12, table 1, it shows in terms of the contributions, in terms of the levy payments, when then in DO1 document was submitted to government, it was assumed 3.65 million would be available, 1.39 from Leeds, 2.259 from York. But in terms of the updated levy payment to be retained, part of the NNDR3 return, that 3.65 million has reduced to 2.276, and you can see the movements between Leeds and York was an overall reduction of 1.373 from where we thought we were going to be. In terms of the distribution of the business rates pool for 2024-25, this is done in accordance with the memorandum of understanding which we've just been through. So in terms of the distribution to the 6 districts, in terms of based on the 2.276 being receivable, you can see the amounts that are allocated to the 6 districts, and on to 2.026 million. On top of that, you've got the pool administration fee of 50,000, and as agreed as part of the memorandum of understanding for 24-25, is that there was a top slice of £200,000 that went to York. And as part of that, there was the criteria of the memorandum of understanding is that there's no safety net payments are due to member authorities in 24-25. In previous years, up until 23-24, we'd only distribute surplus levy payments once there'd been a sort of final certification of the closing NNDR3 returns to government. Because of the long delays in audits for local authority accounts, including the certification of NNDR3 returns, the Joint Committee resolved that for 23-24 and 24-25 is that the Assistant Chief Executive for Finance, Trade and Resource at Leeds, in consultation with other Section 151 officers who form part of the pool, be given delegated authority to distribute the surpluses once they were satisfied that the information in terms of the draft NNDR3 is a true and fair representation of a member's business rates income, and that by doing that we make sure that the payments go through and aren't held up by the subsequent audit process. In terms of the current year 2025-26, when the application went in for the Leeds City Region business rates pool in October 24, it was projected that the level of retained levies will be 3.743 million. Subsequent to that, as has been seen in Table 3, the NNDR1 return in January showed that there'd be £4.118 million available for redistribution, and the latest projection based on at the end of May, based on figures received, is that projection increases from 4.118 million up to 4.183. Earlier, in terms of we talk about the risk to the pool funding, clearly in terms of business rates income, there's continued risk of the economy, any impacts of the ongoing cost of living crisis, also in terms of growth assumptions might be different, and also having to put resources aside to deal with any back debt or backdated appeal. I did reference earlier the memorandum of understanding requirement that first call on any resources would be if the authority falls into its safety net. And as can be seen by Table 4 on page 14, it shows the respective positions of each of the local authorities with regard to where they are against their safety net threshold. So whilst there are some differences between each of the local authorities as detailed in Table 4, no authority is currently forecast to breach the threshold, which will result in a resultant loss of income from the government to the region. In terms of the allocation of the 25-26 business rates pool, there have been, in terms of the criteria, there have been no requests for to fund any regional projects. So therefore, the allocation or proposed allocation is set out in Table 5. As I said earlier, the updated NNDR1 figure was 4.118 million. That's been revised up to 4.183. And as you can see, the distribution to each of the local authorities as set out in the column 31st of May 25. 4.133 million being due to each of the 5 districts, and on top of that there's the pool administration fee for Leeds City Council, bringing it up to 4.183 million. Thank you, Chair, and obviously there's a number of recommendations there for members to consider.
Thank you, Richard. Are there any questions or comments from members? No? Okay, so I'm going to turn to the recommendations on page 15. And is everybody who can vote happy with those recommendations? Yeah. Take that is. That's great, thank you. So I shall bring this meeting to the end. Thank you, everybody.